Here we go. This is it, episode number 68 of NoLaughTrack, Acme Comedy's podcast. My name's Justin Severson, the host. Thanks to the guys, once again, Circle of Heat, for letting us play their music there at the beginning. Love that stuff. Really sets the mood there. My guest today, he will never be as funny as the Golden Girls. His words. his words, not mine.
Sure.
As Bryant Gumbel would say. He also has something in common with names such as Donald Glover, Ken Jeong, Nick Kroll, Aubrey Plaza, Kristen Shaw, all named at one point as comedians to watch.
Sure.
On the variety list.
Yes.
It's Matt Braunger.
Yep, it's me. Hello.
Hey!
All right.
Hey, everybody, it's John Doerr. He's on. Oh, wrong guy.
Next up.
Welcome to Minneapolis.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so what? I have no idea. What is your history? Have you been to Acme before last
I
night?
never have. I've had, I believe, dates scheduled that I had to move, I think, a couple years back. I forget. But it's always been a club that has such a fantastic rep that I've always been like, oh, I really, really want to play there. And
I saw you tweeted that.
Finally made it work. Yeah, it's great. It finally happened, so I'm excited. Last night was great, and I'm just I think the rest of the week should go awesome too.
Yeah. Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday was good.
It was good.
Right on.
Oddly, like you just don't expect Tuesdays when you play them to be the gangbuster affair it was last night, which is great.
That happens here.
It does.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Monday night, you were on Chelsea Lately?
I was.
Was that recorded Monday?
No, we recorded it on, Thursday, I believe. I think it was, it might have been last Wednesday. It was definitely last week. But yeah, then it was going to air Monday. But I think it's because they had Drake on there, so it was kind of this big deal, and they wanted to.
Is that a big deal?
Make sure everything's fun. Evidently,
Okay.
Evidently, yeah. No, I was tweeting about met this guy named Drake. He's seems nice. Hope the kid does well. A guy like selling out arenas. But I have a friend, Ian Carmel, who started out in Portland, is a really funny comedian. I'm sure you'll be hearing from him at this club at some point. But he just got hired as a writer on the show, and so he does like these sketches. He just did a funny sketch on the show as the other Helmsworth brother. There's the two brothers. The one who's
the third one.
The third, because there is a third one.
Oh, I didn't even know.
He's a little heavier, and Ian is massive. He's a huge dude, and so he just did this whole thing about how he owned 3 car washes in Australia, and and still trying to act like they had someone. So point is, for him, it was a massive deal that Drake was on. Like, he's texting me all day, like, Drake's on the show, period. Drake, period.
Drake,
I'm like,
dude.
Okay, all right, you know. And it's like, I listen to a lot of hip hop, but that's not exactly my favorite. But anyway, so to finish answering your question, we taped it last week at Air Monday. So.
You're on there. That wasn't your first time, obviously.
No, I've been on there for about 3 years.
Yeah.
I go on every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, That's a nice little side gig to have.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I initially balked at doing it because it's a show I will never watch. It's just not. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
But
for example, to back up what you're saying, I watch it with my girlfriend sometimes.
They're perfect. Yeah, exactly. It is for, generally speaking, women and gay men.
Mm-hmm.
That's really who watches the show. And I should also say anyone who is obsessed with pop culture, in celebrity pop culture.
Right.
And I'm generally speaking, I'm not.
Yeah.
But the thing I like about it is she has comedians on the show of all different stripes.
Yeah.
It'll have me on there, Lonnie Love, Joe Coy, TJ Miller, like people from all over the spectrum, which I think is great because she's not intimidated by comedians that are going to get a huge laugh off or whatever. It's more like she's helping them out, which is great. And also, I feel like as a comedian, you have to, on a certain level, be able to make jokes about anything if you can, or at least try. Yeah. And so, like on that show, I'll go on and they'll give me the list of topics, and I have to go online and be like, who is this person? And I'm not like a Luddite or anything, but it's like I know who the Kardashians are, and I watch a lot of TV. But in terms of, I'll be looking at there's someone new that was on in the Twilight movies that is cheating on someone.
Right.
Okay. And my angle is always, let me make fun of the situation, not the person.
Yeah.
Let me make an absurdity out of this instead of the typical Lindsay Lohan, what a slut, does drugs, right? I know that person. I'm not going to dump on him, Right. So it's an exercise, really.
It's funny that you say how you describe who watches that show is women and gay men, because I remember at this very club, probably 5 years ago, whenever Doug Benson was still a cast member on Best Week Ever.
Sure.
I remember getting his attention for a few minutes after one of the shows, and I was like, hey, I'm like, I think you're really funny on Best Week Ever. I really like that show. And he's like, really? You like basically he said the same thing you just said
really?
to my face.
See, but
I was like,
I don't think that's the same.
Like
no.
What?
To me, Best
Should
Week
I
Ever.
not like that?
Best Week Ever, I would say that the audience would be mostly college kids. That'd be, not necessarily, it's not as I don't know how you say it, person specific.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As like, so that's weird to me that he was just like, you watch it, really? You know?
I was like, no, but I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay.
And it's there's this kind of weird, I don't think Doug meant this, but there's been a lot of toward that show, and I'm sure even more so in terms of Chelsea, with kind of your younger, kind of snobbish comedy nerds.
Yeah.
And I don't think all comedy nerds are like this at all. I am a comedy nerd, and thank God for comedy nerds, I wouldn't have a career.
Exactly.
But I think, there's this attitude of like, why would you go on that show? That show's dumb.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, sure, but I can get my humor onto that show and try to make it better and get a little exposure. Someone said that to Paul F. Tompkins at one point too, and he was like, well, why wouldn't I? I don't understand,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know.
Because exactly. The exposure is not bad.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were on a sitcom recently as well.
I was. Yes, I was on Up All Night for 2 seasons.
Why isn't Will Arnett bringing you with the last 4 shows he's had since
It's hilarious.
then?
Yeah, no.
That dude has a new job every 6 months.
He does. He has that combination of great sense of humor, gravelly, manly voice, and the body of Brad Pitt in Fight Club. So he's going to work. He's always going to work. And he's also the coolest guy. But it was funny. I auditioned for that The Millers, that show he's on. That's coming out.
Oh, you did?
Now. I did, and I went in going, I don't know if, I'm sure Will would be like, hire him, but I don't know if producers would want him and me on the same show again because Up All Night was such a debacle in the end. And, not the show itself, but just in terms of them trying to get viewers. And, I firmly believe that show, got promoted the right way, or at all, it would have gotten a lot more viewers. I still meet young parents all the time. They're like, what happened to that show?
Yeah.
We were them. We were parents with a young child who still wanted to party. Mm-hmm. That's us,
yeah.
And to me, that's a pretty massive American demographic. But yeah, it just couldn't get a foothold, and then they tried to make it into a multicam, and to me that was like I read that news, I was like, it's over.
Oh,
really? I was like, there's no way that's coming back. So
was it originally with like the laugh track and everything, and they?
No, it was a single cam.
Yeah.
It was a single cam. Obviously, which is like 30 Rock or The Office or Modern Family.
Yeah.
But they wanted to make it a multicam like 2.5 Men.
Okay.
And so with the audience.
Yeah.
And the sweetened laugh track and stuff. But I think that was kind of just Lorne Michaels' Hail Mary pass. Like look, don't cancel it. How about we try this?
Yeah.
It'll be cheaper to produce.
That was his show.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever meet
that
him?
was on Broadway Video. No. I was at a couple rap parties where he was there, and I was just like, you know what? If he wants to say hi, if he wants to come, I'm not going to run up to him. And he's a very private guy. And even
though he's always in front of the camera.
Yeah, right. Well, generally speaking, it's funny that I remember at the rap party, one of the writers from the show was, kind of tipsy, which we all were, and she was just like, you know what, he should want to make. She expected him to come up to her. She's like, he should want to meet me. I make his show funny, and I was just sitting there like, it's not that important to me if he recognizes me. It's like, I'm cool with just getting a check.
Yeah, I was going to say,
on the
how about
show.
the check?
I'm cool with working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, if he wants to come up to me and say, hey, good job or whatever. I had my night made when Amy Poehler ran up to me like out of nowhere and was like, you're so funny.
Really? Awesome.
And she's like one of my all-time heroes.
Yeah, love her.
So I was just like, oh, man.
That's really cool.
Man.
Oh.
Yeah.
The cast on that show was fantastic. So
amazing. Yeah.
Christina Applegate. Mm-hmm. Still, depending on who works the overnight, I work a morning radio show.
Yeah.
So depending on who works the overnight, there's one person that always has it on Married with Children when I show up at 5:30 in the morning.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
still remember that?
Astounding career.
Oh, yeah.
Astounding. We would still. And my girlfriend works in the business, and she would still come on set and be like, oh, "Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Dishes are done.
Dishes are done, man.
Yeah, totally. and Anchorman. The first day I was on, I got into the you go to your trailer and you get your outfit on, which for me was always a pair of Crocs and like a Tommy Bahama shirt, like the worst crap,
Terrible,
awful clothes, which was fun, but. Then I get in the van, and it's just me and Christina and someone else, and they're driving us, and we introduced each other, like, hello. And the driver was like, Christina, I don't know if you... And, I'm making it a point to not nerd out, to not be like, you were in...
Keep it together,
all
man.
All this stuff. You were an Anchorman. And the driver was like, Christina, we worked together before. I was a driver on Anchorman. And she's like, oh, Anchorman, oh. And I'm just like, yeah. The driver just chimes in. It was just funny to me. I mean, God bless him, because he did work on the show, on the movie, but anyway.
I remember you. You were a great driver.
Yeah, I know.
One of my
Ron?
favorites. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why'd you shave your mustache? We were talking briefly before we started recording. You got a podcast.
I do.
That you're doing right now.
Yeah, it's just a real low-key thing where it's me just doing a 15-minute podcast. The hook is I'm hitchhiking, and you I come by and I jump into your car or your iPod or whatever and just hang out with you for 15 minutes, and then I just jump out.
Okay.
Because I feel like so many podcasts are, particularly the ones that are longer than an hour. It's kind of like, God, there's so many good podcasts. Like, how much time do you have in a day?
I know.
Some people have jobs where they can sit there and listen to podcasts, and that's awesome. And I think that's what podcasts are made for, and I know they're very glad for them, and I'm glad that they're around. But it's just, I feel like there's so many that are, I don't want to say that call them self-indulgent. Some certainly are. But in my case, I was like, all right, Will Sasso and Chris D'Elia and Brian Callen have they have a 10-minute podcast. And so I was like, I'll do 15. That'll be my little niche. Yeah. And I just came up with the silliest name I possibly could and bounced it off a couple friends, and Ding Donger with Matt Braunger was born. And so, ideally it's me doing like a new 15 minutes every week.
Okay.
It's not really like as good as a set, but it's real stories from my past. It's stuff that really happened, that week. I was the last episode was kind of railing about, because I went to a cousin's wedding, and I found out another cousin of mine who's very religious isn't going because she's getting married to a guy who is divorced. Okay. And it just lit a fire under me, and his reasoning was so flawed. I just kind of, and it wasn't like me going, I'm so mad. Like, I really made a point to sit down and write out what was funny about it to me. So to me, ideally, it's just like an entertaining 15 minutes that you'll just get in the mail every Thursday.
You're sitting down by yourself and doing this?
Yeah. I never have guests. I wanted to have, so when I'm on the road, I don't have to worry about interviewing people. I can just have bring my recorder on the road with me and then just go.
So you're sitting in the hotel room with the microphone?
Yeah.
Is it kind of weird getting started?
Well,
like sitting there by yourself, like, okay,
you just
record.
I feel like when you're listening to a podcast, it feels like people are talking to you, and it feels like they're in the room with you. It's a very personal thing. So I'll just talk about exactly what's going on at the moment. Like, I was in New York and I had a really short cord, and I was literally like sitting in the windowsill, and it was just hot, and I was just describing how hot it was, and I remember I said I was saying it's hot as the surface of Mars ball sack or something like that, and someone tweeted at me like, Mars is frozen. Like, are you trying to offend us nerds? And I'm like, oh, you're right, I'm a moron when it comes to science. So yeah, I got a kick out of that.
I'm not one that would have called you out on that. But I get it.
I would not have known.
You grew up in Portland?
I did.
When did you move from there?
I left home to go to college when I was around 17. And then after college, I went home for the summer and then moved to Chicago. So I was in Chicago for about 6 years. And then after that, I moved to Los Angeles.
You're there now?
Yes.
Stage? When did you get on the stage first?
Stage when I was young, when I was like 9 or 10.
What were you doing?
Doing
school plays?
School plays. Yeah. School plays.
Sing? Did you sing?
I got into musical theater, sure, and I did choir in high school, and that was like the whole dream to me was just to be an actor. growing up. And then,
who did you want to be?
Oh God, who did I want to be? Probably like something from a pretentious standpoint, like Kenneth Branagh or something like that.
Wow.
Not necessarily that, but something like, oh boy, God, I'm trying to think of like actors I really looked up to, and I didn't have like a guy. I just was like, man, I just really want to be doing plays and on TV and in like movies and stuff like that. And then it wasn't until I was in Chicago that I discovered improvisational theater, and then, doing that, I just fell into the stand-up scene, and I loved it. Like as a kid, I was always, part of me was like, oh, you're going to be a stand-up, but I remember trying to write routines, and they were heinous.
Yeah.
They were horrible. Like you don't know what it is until you actually get up in front of an audience and realize they don't want a monologue. They don't want something that's just written out word for word. They want, the beauty of stand-up comedy to me is it is of the moment more than anything, more than any other performance art to me. I'm sure there's some kind of performance art that's a guy that lets you throw darts at him or something like that, but in terms of like plays or anything like that, other things like that, it's like, as a comedian, you have to react, you have to adjust, you have to, so. I really got off on that standpoint in Chicago, and that's actually what I would never be getting. I'm sure the acting jobs that I get when I do get them, which isn't that often, but without stand up, ironically.
I'm curious, being a comedian, what's the most serious role you've ever had?
Oh man, jeez, I don't get a lot of them, but let me think.
Romeo when I was 12.
Well, yeah, right. Which I got out of stand-up. I would probably, I don't know, I did a guest role on United States of Terror. It was still kind of a comedic part, but it was, it wasn't the guy was a real guy, and I maybe the corpse who comes back to life on Pushing Daisies. Oh. But I'm so obnoxious, I get deaded right away. That's like the gag, But I think it's funny, but it's also like I try to play him like a real guy who's just gregarious.
Yeah. Funny, very funny. So we talked about Acme, but have you performed anywhere in Minnesota?
Yeah, I played a theater in Minneapolis around 2010, I believe, 2009, 2010. That a couple local guys just. They found me on I was in 2009, I was in the Comedy Central's Hot 9. It was like 9 comedians, and it was like, a couple of people you mentioned, but it was Whitney Cummings, it was Nick Kroll, it was Aziz Ansari, it was
Wait, did I see that? Was it a special? And then you guys all kind of commented on things?
We just talked about each other. Yeah, it was this kind of random thing. Yeah. They and so out of that, like I guess they saw it and they saw a bunch of stuff online and they really liked me. So I booked that, and I'm sure that negated me from Acme for like a year or so. Oh, because when you play an area, you burn it.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
And I think people only play Acme once a year, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, some clubs you play twice a year. Acme I think is one of those upper strata clubs like Comedy Works in Denver or.
I would say that here there are a handful that do twice.
Sure.
That have been doing it for a long time.
I'm sure, but they are also, I'm sure they pack the house every single time. Yeah, so,
Yep, exactly. Like, Kindler, he's only been here. That was once, I guess. Once the last year. But he's been on this podcast twice. So there's been a few. I've been doing this, like I said, this was episode 68.
Oh, wow.
And I've had, 5 or 6 that have done 2 weeks in that amount of time.
Oh, okay.
Lori Kilmartin.
Oh, sure.
Andy Kindler.
Yeah.
Those types.
Those types.
Yeah. So you're in LA now.
Yes.
Close to all the all the movers and shakers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I saw a thing that some interview you did and said that you mentioned something about Manhattan and you didn't want to live in a small box. And
when I got out of college, I was just like, I don't really want to stay here. I mean, you always wonder like, what if you did? What if you toughed it out? But I just wanted to. It's very, I'm just being honest, a very immature way to look at it, but I just wanted to enjoy my early 20s. Yeah. So I didn't want to just live in, this little box and, because I had friends that lived in the city and man, it was just bad. And Now it's even worse. Now I say, people living in New York. I mean, it's generalizing, but you're either like a millionaire or you have 3 roommates.
Yeah.
One of the two.
How's your situation in California?
Oh, it's not. I have a 1-bedroom. It's fine. And and I do have friends that have nice places. A friend of mine just got cast on Saturday Night Live, and he's living with his girlfriend. They got a decent place in like the West Village, or East Village, which is great.
Yeah.
So there's ways around it. It was me and my kind of ignorant mind state at the time. Who knows? Maybe I could have gotten a decent job and got an okay place and a nice roommate and stuff. But it's like I had friends that lived in Chicago that were doing all these great theaters and just like were like, why don't you just come out here? And I was like, wow, that sounds great.
You ever do we mentioned Lorne Michaels, now you just mentioned SNL. And you did Mad TV.
I did.
Yeah. Did you ever try the SNL? Did you ever audition?
The year I was going to go out, the year I went out for Mad TV, if I didn't get Mad TV, I was going to submit for Saturday Night Live. And in subsequent years, like the 2 years after, I think they were full. They weren't looking for anyone, and then they were looking for people around, I think 2011. And by then, I was kind of like, well, A, I don't really want to live in New York, and B, once you sign that contract, you're stuck in it for 6 years, and it's great exposure. It's great exposure, but I didn't know, I wasn't that interested in committing to that.
It's
to
6 years
that whole
for everyone
life.
that starts there?
That's how it is for every TV show you can ever think of as a cast member. You have to sign a thing. 6 seasons. Which is there are a lot of mitigating factors. It just wasn't one of those things I really wanted to go for at that point.
Yeah.
If
let's pretend you did.
Sure.
What would you go in front of Lorne Michaels? I know people have to, they go in front, or at least I've heard this, that you go in front and do your, you try to sell them on some characters or something.
Right.
What would you have done?
I didn't even know. Like when I did Mad TV, I had to make up characters. I don't really do characters in my act.
Yeah.
And then I had to get a couple impersonations that were not good as far as I was concerned.
What were you doing?
So I don't know. I think I did, what's his name? Vincent D'Onofrio on Law & Order CI, where I basically kind of talked like him, but I just messed with everything in the room. Like I'd take the casting person's hat off and play with it. Because when he's in that show and he's asking questions, he just fucks with everything in the room. He just picks up books and they're like, put that down. Like they're always saying that to him.
Oh, okay.
So I just did it, to the umpteenth measure.
Right.
And
I like that.
I forget what the other ones were. But yeah, it's one of those things I was like, I could see that on the screen. That'd be funny. That's the idea that I try to approach it from.
You didn't go in and work it on your Jimmy Stewart or anything?
No, yeah. I tried to stay away from like the obvious ones, the ones that everyone does.
Oh my God! On our radio show the other day, we had on because they just released the what is it? The DVDs of the Dean Martin roasts.
Oh wow, yeah.
So we had Rich Little on.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Rich Little.
Wow. Pretty rough.
Well, it's it was the day. This was Monday, and it was the day. Did you watch the Emmys?
No, I caught a couple bits of it, but I was flying home as they were going on. So I got home and saw like the highlights.
Yeah, well they brought. You must like Bob Newhart.
Oh, love him.
As a comedy fan,
love him.
Yeah, right. I do too. Well, they had him come out, and he's so tiny. I don't know. Have you ever met him?
No.
He's such a little guy.
Yeah,
and then and he's pretty old.
Yeah,
and it was like. I don't know. It was just weird. It was like 2 days in a row, like seeing Bob Newhart on television, and he was just. Apparently, he's still working. I think he's coming to Minneapolis later this year.
Yeah, he plays like casinos.
Yeah, so he's still working, but you're like, I'm watching him like, oh, he's old. He's looks kind of frail. And then the next day on the radio show, we have Rich Little. Like, wow, it's the it's the parade of old timers. I got to get my dad around. He's gonna love this.
Yeah, I remember Rich Little like growing up, and he was like, oh, he's funny, and he's got this impressions guy, but he was. Then I saw, was it some part on like, and it's a show I hated and never wanted to watch, but I root for my friends on it, Last Comic Standing.
Right.
And Gary Goldman was on it with like Lonzo Bowden, a couple people, and they had to do a roast. And Goldman used the F word, and like Rich Little was just like, I abhor blue humor.
Oh.
And I was just like,
no.
Come on, man. It's like he said the F word once.
Oh, no.
I wouldn't even call that blue humor.
No.
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 He's not, crudely describing someone's genitalia or something like that, I just always, that just echoes in my head when I hear his name,
Did he complain about it in the Ronald Reagan voice?
Oh yeah, it's like his voice just sounds like he's doing an impression of someone. You know, you just can't put your finger on it.
Don't like that blue humor, Pilgrim. What? So where do you want to like? What's the ultimate goal for you? Ever? The Matt Braunger show, with all your friends as co-stars.
I'd love to. You know, I've you always when development season comes around, I took last development season off because when I did that show with Kyle Kinane on Comedy Central, we made 2 pilots for them for the same show, and it stretched over a year and a half. And by the end of it, I was just like, I just can't. I can't generate any ideas. I don't want to go pitch anything. This is ridiculous. So all I did was just audition. And then this season, I'm actually actively developing ideas and writing, and I've been pitching around town. So ideally, I guess if I had pie in the sky, definitely would have my own show that I star and produce, and then be in a couple movies here and there, and have the thriving comedy career, and just have a small production company. That would probably be the ideal, and then just modestly furnished apartments I own in every fun city that I could just go and pass out in whenever I want to have a vacation weekend.
Yeah. Would you let your friends stay there when you're not there?
For sure.
No.
For sure.
Oh, you would.
Yeah. They got to clean it up, but yeah.
So you wouldn't get too big. You wouldn't ditch the little people.
No, it's like when you said the little people. Without your friends, you're nothing. So you kind of just always want to,
Yeah.
And my friends have been good to me and stuff like that. But it's interesting, the idea of someone kind of making it and then forgetting everyone they know is just to me, it's like, well, then what's life for?
Yeah.
What do you have?
Yeah. You got to share with the people you do the other
do
fun
you really,
things with.
You care more about how strangers that like you or something that
along those lines, and this might sound stupid, but I don't want to. I would love to be rich. Rich, take care of shit, but
sure.
Like the 400 million Powerball, or I don't want to have to leave the state. I don't want to have to hide.
Right. Well, and I don't want to be. It's like anytime I see someone literally driving like a Lamborghini or Ferrari or something like that, I'm just like, don't you just feel like a bag of shit? Doesn't part of you go like, oh my, I'm really the worst? You know what I mean? Because it's like I'll walk around and I'll have $80 in my pocket, and there's a guy that's on the curb, and I don't give him any money, and I'm just like, oh, I feel like shit. If you're walking around in a gold suit, which is basically what a Lamborghini is, or or you're a guy who's in a magazine as one of the top richest people in the world, it's like if you're not constantly doing philanthropy or starting foundations, it's kind of it just. It's the Spider-Man thing. With that great power comes great responsibility. I don't want that responsibility, you know. But at the same time, the worst people have all the money. It's like, should they? Should we not? You know, that's the thing. So I mean, it's interesting when, especially in the past, the last couple of years where the economy has kind of taken that upswing now. But all the money's going to the 1%. All of it. Like the middle class is starving. It's like, it's not when people are like, the economy's booming, what's your problem? It's like people still are jobless. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm renting.
Right, yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah. So I don't know.
But I do have a new car now in the last year.
Nice.
So.
Good.
That was I finally feel like an adult in my late 30s by having driving my first new car.
That's when I bought my first new car, late 30s.
Yeah.
For sure.
Pathetic. Pathetic.
Well, I don't know. Would you rather that or someone who got a bad mortgage at age 24 and it ruined their credit and their life?
God, no.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like, I knew a guy in high school who parents literally gave him the option of like, did you want like a new car or college? And of course he's like, car.
Yeah.
And he got this new truck or new car. And I was just like, well, there you go, dude. I'm going to see that car when I come home in a couple years. beat up and crappy, and then not that college is a guarantee, but it's something to be doing. A car isn't something to be doing.
Yeah. You would hope that college keeps you out of trouble more than a awesome car does when you're 19 or 20. Yeah.
At least in college, your trouble is contained to that college, to like dorms.
That's true. Especially if you get far enough away that your parents aren't paying attention.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when you're walking down the street in Beverly Hills, you don't see Bieber's car drive by, that chrome thing I saw a couple of months ago online.
Yeah, like
where it's blinding people.
No, yeah, I haven't seen that, but it's like my thing is like, how is that legal? You can't have a chrome car like that. Would that's blind spots.
What happens
everywhere.
when a bird shits on it? Do you kill the bird?
Yeah, a laser finds it in the air and blows it out of the sky.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a list here. I want to get your thoughts on this.
Okay,
you just did actually mention high school. This is a thing. People were talking about online the other day about a phase that they went through that they still cringe about today. Do you have one of those?
Oh, for sure. Several of them. I think probably when I got out of there's a strange level of kind of like hip hop R&B fashion that I fell into when I was like 13 or 14. And you think at that age you can mix and match it. And I remember wearing a tuxedo shirt with a bolo tie. And with kind of like a jacket, but there were only 2 buttons at the bottom. And then these pants that were white with little gray like stripe dots on them. Yeah. And I remember going to the new high school and going like, oh, I'll wear that outfit I wore in 8th grade. It was so cool. And I wore it to school, and I wore it with just sneakers.
Yeah.
And it was a crap outfit anyway, and I got so clowned. So clowned. Yeah, so that off the top of my head, that one stands out for sure.
There was no time where you didn't have a goth phase?
Oh, no goth phase.
No eyeshadow?
No. When I first got to college, I wore a lot of baggy hip-hop crap and had like a goatee. This is the era of like House of Pain.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that. So that
Everlast, that's my name.
Yeah, the worst rapper. Worst. And so that was unadvised, ill-advised, but that faded after freshman year.
Yeah. Thank God we all get to at least, you can hopefully have the opportunity to get away from wherever you were when you're an adolescent. Because, holy fuck, I can't imagine if I was still the person I was when I was, 16, 17, 18.
Oh, God, yeah.
The music I listened to.
Sure.
Even like, the one thing there are a few things, but one of the things I still really do like about Facebook is old friends, and when you bring up things like remember this, from like 25 years ago.
Oh,
like,
sure.
Yeah, and the music we were listening to, like En Vogue. Remember that band En Vogue?
Of course, I remember En Vogue.
When's the last time you had someone brought them up? I mean, it doesn't happen. Yet my friends and I were the biggest En Vogue fans at one point.
Sure. No, I was too. Absolutely. They had some good...
Free your mind.
Yeah.
What?
My Lovin' You're Never Gonna Get It.
That's right.
Classic. Great tune.
I'm going to share... I have 2 daughters. I can't wait to share that with them.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Play that around the house. They'll probably get into it. Play that, and then LL Cool J's Boomin' System, which used the bass line from that song.
Did it?
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Yep.
You do know what you're talking about.
A little bit.
That's nice. I got another one here.
Okay.
What's the worst injury you've ever suffered because of your own stupidity?
Oh, man. Probably like injured knee by trying to play high school football. This is one of those guys that the coach is like, hey, you're a big guy, come play football. And I used to play soccer when I was a kid, and I'm just like, all right. I think I was like a sophomore in high school, and I was just terrible, and I hated it. And like, I have, not bad knees, but they go out, sometimes if I do something, if I slip wrong or whatever. I actually, before I went up for Mad TV, my knee went out, and I just tore the MCL on the side of my leg, and which not an ACL, not the big one, thank God, but MCL are just the things on the side. And then so I went into network to audition. It's the final stage of auditioning for the network executives on crutches.
Oh.
So when you go and do characters, so I go in crutches, and they're like, "Oh, what's he gonna? Is he gonna fall down?
He's really
and
in
I'm
character.
like, I'm really hurt.
Let me guess, Chevy Chase.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. To me, just the fact that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play football is a stupidity.
Where did they stick you? What position?
Oh, I was a lineman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stand there.
Yeah, just run into people.
Yeah.
I think it was like on 4, and I thought it was on 3. So it's like hut, and the third one I stand up and I just get hit right in the legs. And then, there you go. You are good at this.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
What? I'm always interested in people. What kind of jobs you had before you made a living doing what you do now?
Yeah, I was. Let's see. In Chicago, all 6 years, I waited tables and bartended a little. When I moved to Los Angeles, I was a production assistant, which means I just got people's lunches and coffees and stuff, and moved furniture for a small production company that did reality TV that just did bullshit for about 2 years. And then I was a closed captioner for the hearing impaired. Kyle and I both did that show. Kyle Kinane and I both did that job.
Really?
And they were great. Yeah, we didn't do it. It wasn't like live, but it was like, all right, here's a hunting show, and here's the next episode of The Office, and then you learn how to fragment a sentence correctly and put it in the area of the screen where it won't block out someone's face, and then you put the whole file together, and then you turn it in, and the cool thing was I could always, with at least maybe an hour's notice, I could say, oh, I have to go to this audition, and I'll make up the time this weekend. And they were great to me, and they're actually called Caption Max. They're based out of Minneapolis.
Oh, really?
And I worked at their Burbank location. And they were awesome to me, and I chalk a lot of the reason why I got to where I am now because they were so understanding, and they were great, and the good health coverage and all that stuff. So
no shit.
Yeah, my last quote unquote real job was actually pretty good. It was actually a pretty good job.
How much? Can I ask how much that pays for a job like that?
I forget. It was good middle class wage. I would say probably. This is vague, but between 30 and 40 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nothing to shake a stick at, nothing terrible.
Yeah.
I forget.
So you had to go into into the build, like their shop.
Yeah, but it was
they put you down in front of a computer.
Yeah,
or TV,
I had my own station that I shared with the night person. My shift was 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, and it was a wide open office. And everybody in the office was really cool to each other, and everyone got along great. And it was.
Did anyone double check your work?
Oh, for sure. Like 2 or 3 people.
Oh, really?
After you.
Yeah.
Do that. They have
couldn't
to
slide anything in.
No. Yeah. People have asked me that, but no. I mean, even when I joke that Kyle and I were always thrown under the bus by the other people at work because it was mostly women, and they'd be like, I can't do Girls Gone Wild because it's offensive, or I can't do this hunting show because I can't stand to watch animals get shot. And they just didn't want to do the shows. They could have stood it.
Right.
They just we're these tough manly guys that can stand it, or even worse, would enjoy Girls Gone Wild, which, I mean, I like a naked girl as much as anybody, but those shows are horrible. It's like watching like a slow molestation.
No, wait a minute. Because, you're bringing something that I've always been, like, blown away by. That back when those things were huge, like
right.
when you're doing this and this Girls Gone Wild, and they had those late-night commercials that everybody saw.
Of course.
Stay up late watching Howard Stern on E!
Yeah,
and every commercial break would have Girls Gone Wild. But you were captioning, like, the actual videos?
Yeah.
Like the full-length?
The full DVDs.
Now, for people that have not seen any of those full-length videos, they go, like what you just said, it's not just a girl in bikini, like showing a little nipple. It's what did you say? A slow burning.
It's a slow molestation because they get a drunk girl in the RV, and it's a guy with his camera on her. You don't see the guy, and the guy's like, "So, do you like taking your clothes off?" And the girl's like, "Sometimes." Like, "Do you want to do it now?" And then, of course, "Do you ever masturbate?" "Sometimes." "Do you want to do it now?" And it's never a guy. It'd be one thing, if it was like. Alpha male dude that's like in a porn, like, yeah, suck it, do this. It's like, okay, it's happening. This guy was like the worst guy in a bar. It's like, so, yeah, do you like, do you ever, do you ever, I don't know, masturbate or, I don't know, or something? And you're just like, I want to murder that guy.
Yeah.
You want to murder him, and these, with porn, at least they're getting paid. Like, these women are getting a hat, a hat and a ruined life.
And a hangover, yeah. A hangover, a hat, and, ruined
And
life.
I just always wondered how it's legal to get someone to sign a document when they're intoxicated. And, reality television does it all the time. They that's why on shows they're like, okay, well, let's go in this room first. Bachelorettes, here's champagne, and here's some, and in the Big Brother house, there's always booze around. It's how they get people to do stupid things for the cameras.
Do you want to say what you said? You were working in a small production company that did reality shows.
Yeah.
I've gone through phases where I've watched a lot of reality shows. So there may be something I've.
Oh,
what kind of behind the scenes stuff?
They
did you?
did The Mole. They did. Let's see. They did a bunch of really small little. They did a show called Shop Till You Drop. They did a bunch of exactly. They did a bunch of.
That's not the one in the. Oh no, that's the grocery store. I'm thinking of the ones where they each have a grocery cart. And
no, that's it.
Is that it?
That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's the one. And they did.
Was that a real shopping center?
God no. And they did they did the Joe Schmo show. Yeah, they did Fame, which was just a knockoff of American Idol that was on for like a year or something like that. But they were terrible because what they would do is they would, so they wouldn't be able, so they wouldn't have to legally, pay us, legally you have to give people an incremental raise. What they would do, or if you're full time, they have to give you health benefits. They would on payroll have payroll move our names from show to show, so we were never technically.
No, you're a new hire again.
Yeah, so they're not what they're. What they were is out of business, and now one of the partners has his own thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you hear that Samuel L. Jackson did an interview recently, and he said that he lost his virginity when he was 10 or 11?
Sure.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but okay.
He said there was a family of girls who lived through the woods from us, and we all used to meet at the creek and swim naked. He was 10 or 11. He says he thinks two of the girls were 14 or 15, so that's when it happened. He added, quote, "Girls were interesting to me, period. They could be fat, skinny, tall, short, ugly, beautiful, as long as they were willing to do that thing."
Yeah. Any port in a storm, Samuel. Jeez.
How were things for Matt Braunger in Portland, Oregon?
Virginity wise? Not till high school. I was like a late bloomer. I was certainly not Samuel L. Certainly not. That's why it's like what's that Gerard Depardieu thing about how he lost his virginity or something, like he's like, "Oh, I chased her and I raped her." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "No, but she wanted to be raped."
What?
It's like, no, that negates the definition.
It's a different word in French, right?
No, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, is this the creepy side of the French romance? Pepe Le Pew makes such sense now.
Yeah.
He makes so much sense now.
Totally.
Chase them down till they're tired, then have your way with them.
That's fantastic.
It's like the Dave Chappelle joke about watching Pepe Le Pew with his kid. He's like, what is this crazy rapist?
You know what? That's funny you bring that up. I have some stuff here about cartoons.
Okay.
And Looney Tunes specifically, so that's pretty good stuff here. Where's that one? Oh, here we go. TV Guide. Did you see this one?
No.
They made a list of the 60 greatest cartoons of all time.
All right.
Now, obviously,
cool.
I'm not going to read all 60 of them.
Sure, no.
But I loved cartoons when I was a kid. We seem to be about the same age, so we're probably thinking about some of the same ones.
Uh-huh.
What were some of your favorites?
As a kid, I always loved all the Warner Brothers, the Bugs Bunny stuff. Popeye, because my mom wouldn't let me watch Popeye because he solved all his problems with violence.
Wow.
It's like, I can see where she's coming from, but at the same time, I wasn't thinking.
Were you allowed to watch, side note, were you allowed to watch Dukes of Hazzard?
Yes, but not Starsky and Hutch.
Because I couldn't watch Dukes of Hazzard. I had to sneak that one.
Okay. Yeah. I had to sneak Starsky and Hutch.
Interesting.
And it's funny because I remember watching Starsky and Hutch in college with a friend of mine. It came on, reruns, and we'd get, before dinner, we had a ritual where we'd get stoned, watch Starsky and Hutch, and then go to dinner. Go to the cafeteria. Right. And I remember watching it in this episode where they're having a shootout with this guy at a junkyard, and the guy jumps into an abandoned car. and is shooting out from inside the car. And, Starsky and Hutch, of course, goes up and is like, get on the magnet crane. So he gets in the thing and he does the crane over the car and lifts the car up probably about 50 feet and just drops the whole car. And the car lands and bounces, and the dude flies out the side of the window. And they run over and they cuff him. And we were crying laughing because we were like, that is so horribly cruel. All his limbs are broken. Like, why are you still cuffing him? Like, please, I'm in horrible pain. Like, we're laughing obviously because it's not real, but we're just like, okay, if that were in the real world.
If that was real, they could have wrapped his arms around his neck a couple times.
A cop would have been like, okay, so he's in the car. Yes. He's going to run out of bullets. Yes. But you still lifted the car up and you dropped it. Yes. He's dead, Starsky. That guy is... we needed that guy, Like, he could have told us where the hostages were.
That's very funny.
But you shattered his frame. So... But yeah, but anyway, what are the ones?
Let's go through I'll go read the top 10, starting from 10 to 1. Feel free to make any comment about any of these.
Sure.
And so 10 they have as South Park.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm. I don't watch it that much anymore, but I wouldn't turn it on. Like if it's still on the TV, I don't turn it on.
I don't watch it regularly, but it's still hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Now, see, I think they already have these two wrong because I think South Park is better than the next one, and that is Family Guy.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how much you've seen of this show. You don't have any children like I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is how I really got into this one. SpongeBob SquarePants.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I tried to watch it without the kids a few years ago. Like when it was like the big, SpongeBob was everywhere. Mm-hmm. I was like, no, didn't get it. Then you sit there and watch it with your kids. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually doing a short over at Nickelodeon right now.
Really?
That if it goes past the execs and everyone likes it, it'll go to pilot status, and then I'll do a pilot for them. And I've, because they're having a bunch of creative types, some of which are comedians, make a bunch of 2-minute shorts because I think they're looking for the next SpongeBob or the next that kind of show because they want to get back into that kind of thing that is funny for kids but also funny for adults. Yeah. And when they were like, all right, this is like the humor we're looking for, they showed me they sent me this clip from SpongeBob that killed me, that I thought was so funny. Like, I don't know if I could watch a whole episode, but that 3-minute long clip was just hilarious. So,
when do you hear about that?
It's now. I've just approved. It's now almost all the way cast. We have the characters designed. We have the environments designed, and then we're sending them off to the animators once the storyboard gets approved. It's been approved by me, but the higher ups have to approve it. Yeah.
Wow. Were you going to do a voice on it?
Yeah. I'm one of those. It's about 2 little kids, basically. So I'm going to do one of the voices, and they're going to adjust my voice and make it into a kid's voice.
That sounds fucking awesome.
It's crazy. It's pretty awesome.
That's totally awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
Do you have any... so these 2 kid characters that you're talking about, do you have an idea of what they look like? Do you already have something? Has someone already drawn a picture of what they look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One is tall and skinny, and one is short and fat, basically.
Did you have any say in that, though?
Yeah. No, I helped design them. Yeah, they sent me all these prototypes, and I was like, have those eyes, that nose.
That's how that works.
Yeah, you kind of just describe what, and I'm lucky enough to be working with a guy who is a director who worked on Futurama for a long time, and he also was an animator for a long time. So he just sat down and doodled, and I was like, that's awesome.
You don't do that at all,
No, not really.
Doodling.
No. I doodle, but I couldn't really draw a cartoon character that would be admissible.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's great. It's so much fun.
Wow. I hope that works out. That
Thanks.
Sounds really awesome. Another one on here, I think I remember seeing it a few times, Batman, the animated series.
That was pretty good, too.
From the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sure.
Yep. Now, this definitely one of my all-time favorites. Still watch it because I have it on DVD, and I've actually watched it with my kids, and it's growing on them. But I'm still pushing. I'm not giving up. Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Oh, yeah, sure. Classic.
Freaking love that. Next one, I don't think stands up at all. Scooby-Doo. Or it holds up, I should say. I don't think it holds up.
No. It was its own world, and I used to love it as a kid, and I could see kids loving it, but no. It's always the same. Let's see who this really is.
Mm-hmm. Peanuts. Of course.
Sure.
Yeah, of course, being in Minnesota. Charles Schultz.
Super great.
Particular St. Paul's own. Looney Tunes, number 3.
Okay.
Love Looney Tunes.
Mm-hmm.
The Flintstones, number 2.
Okay.
Number 1 is...
Oh.
It's still on right now. Still making new shows.
Oh, of course, Simpsons.
Yeah, Simpsons.
Yeah.
Yep,
I could
Simpsons.
see. To me, it would be Simpsons number 1, Ren and Stimpy number 2.
Okay, that's interesting because they have they did list on this thing I have. They listed some of them that weren't in the top 10, and the ones that I circled, I want to bring up to you: Super Friends.
Okay, yeah, sure, yeah.
The Pink Panther Show.
Oh yeah, awesome.
And Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, I mean, to me, who knows if maybe it wasn't on long enough. But,
no, it wasn't.
You know, I mean, and then it came back. It was crappy and
not same.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to base. That's the kind of humor I want my cartoon to be like. You know, was crazy stuff to happen, and startling things, just of a really violent, very funny absurdity. You know, that I think they just mastered.
Yeah. Oh my God. I hope this works out.
Thanks.
I was such a big fan of Ren and Stimpy. I had the farting Stimpy doll.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that?
Sure.
Squeeze his belly.
Oh my God. I remember when Ren and Stimpy came out when I was in high school. I couldn't believe how funny it was.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. And then in college, you know, I would you'd get stoned and watch it with friends and just be like, God damn it! It's like you don't even question why. You're just like, it's just the best.
Happy?
You know? Happy. Yeah.
Happy.
If you ain't the great granddaddy of all liars, I'll teach you to be happy. I'll teach you to suck eggs. The in-betweens on Happy, Happy, Joy, Joy.
Uh-huh.
I told you I'd shoot, but you didn't believe me. Why didn't you believe me? It's like the most serious line of anything that's in the middle of Happy, Happy, Joy, Joy.
Love it. There will be a day where I introduce my kids to that one. That's going to be a good day. Well, they're a little young right now.
Be a good road trip song.
There we go. Mm-hmm. There we go.
But here, I would warn you, they'll never stop singing it. Because that's like true. Happy, Happy, Joy, Joy, forever.
Very catchy.
Forever, yeah.
Well, they have some religious theme songs that they get stuck in their head that I wouldn't mind having them replaced with something that I like a little more.
So. Jesus Loves Me? Mm-mm. He's got the whole world in his hands?
Ones that weren't even, I don't think, around when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've had to learn the lyrics. I've learned the lyrics just for hearing them over and over again.
Sure.
Unlike that one. I don't know. I think, how long have we been doing this? I think I should let you break off and go do something else with your day. What else is coming up for you this year?
Boy, what else is coming up? I'm doing the are you familiar with the Twitter handle, the Dad Boner Twitter?
Yes.
Mike Burns, who created that, just had a book come out that's written by Carl Welzine, you know, by Mike, but the book is by Carl, chronicling his misadventures, and we're going on a tour to support it called the Dad Boner Show, where basically
I saw that.
Where I'm the guest comedian on it, and I'll come out. Michael, he'll come out and do some time and read a passage from the book. I'll come out, do some time, read a passage from the book. We might have one or two guest comedians or local figures, whatever city we play in, and then we each sit on stage and we each read a part from Carl's script for Roadhouse 2, Pain Don't Hurt, with Guy Fieri as Guy Cooler, the Patrick Swayze role. Oh, so it's and what Mike's done is, Carl, is he'll write these entire scripts and just put the whole thing on Craigslist and be like, all right, Hollywood types, let me know how much you want for this script, you know, and so. You know, and of course it gets taken down like in a day. Yeah. Craigslist is like, this isn't what this is for. They don't understand. But we've done it in Brooklyn, where we had A.D. Bryant from Saturday Night Live as a guest. We did it in Portland. It was myself, Ian Carmel, Mike Bridenstine. We've done it in they did it in Chicago, but I wasn't there. I believe Kyle Kinane did that one. But point is, if you go to carlwellzine.com, you'll see where it'll be. And that's taking up all of my October and half of my November. So
it looked, from what I saw on the tour dates, it looks like you're just kind of doing one night and then moving to another place.
It's one night per city. Yeah. So it's just, you know, it's a tour. It's a real tour. So I'll be doing that. And then Then, there's a couple festivals and a couple comedy clubs for this year. But if people go to mattbraunger.com, they can see where I'll be and stuff.
Yeah. Hey, I meant to ask you that because I've heard of it, never been there, but that Bridgetown. Pardon me, Bridgetown.
Yeah.
That's your thing.
Yeah, Andy Wood and I and Kimberly Brady started it, and we still run it every year. This next time will be our 7th year, so it's great. It's a grassroots festival that Portland has come to really love, and we get the famous people to get the asses in seats, and then we get people that no one's ever heard of that are really funny, and put them in front of an audience that the aforementioned people got to come.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's a real serendipitous thing. It's really
awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
When is that? So when is that again?
This year I want to say it's going to be in May. Don't quote me, but it's usually in April.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's always in the spring.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I only know about from listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
From people that I like.
Sure.
Have performed there.
Right. Well, it's not like other festivals in that industry will come. We do get some industry, but it's not like, Just for Laughs in Montreal where half the audience is managers and agents and network execs and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. In Portland, you basically go to do Bridgetown because it's summer camp for comedians. It's just incredibly fun. You're going to have great sets. You're going to meet all kinds of new people. You'll probably get drunk. You'll go to hit some strip clubs with us, that kind of thing. You do it for fun rather than for your career.
So how much time should I set aside next May? I'm not a comedian, but... I like getting drunk and going to strip clubs.
You should come. You should just come. I mean, people just come just for fun. If you want to go, I'll see about getting you like a pass or something like that. So you don't have to. And I don't think it's that expensive for like the 3-day pass. But yeah. I mean, there are people that just make the pilgrimage and just get like a modestly priced hotel, which is not hard to find in Portland, and then just go to the shows.
Well, since I need to get to Portland. Mm-hmm. I watch Portlandia. It's
sure. Yeah, you should.
It really is my destiny.
Enjoy the real thing. Yeah.
I want to believe that all of those places are real.
They really are. And I mean, I can't speak on all of them, but it is, it hits the mark. I'm one of those people who grew up there, and so part of me winces, but it's also it gets so true. Like both, Fred and what's his name from Slater-Kinney? Of course, I don't remember her name, but they live there now, like in their adulthood. So they relate to it on a level that I never could, because I go back maybe 4 times a year just to visit, but I don't live in it. I haven't lived in it for some time, Who
was telling me there is a vegan strip club? Yeah,
Casa Diablo. Yeah, it's built they tried to make it to look like and have the same feel as strip club in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, really?
That was the idea.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. So it's, very demonic and, a lot of devilish imagery and stuff, but no animal cruelty. So, hey. Yeah.
The snakes stay in their cages?
Yes, and are not ever barbecued.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So you said your website, Twitter, you're pretty...
Yeah, at Braunger.
You're on the Twitter.
I'm on the Twitter. I'm on the Vine. Let's see, and Ding Donger with Matt Braunger. What else can I promote?
I will be subscribing.
I think that's it. Okay, sweet. Yeah, I think that's all. Yeah,
perfect. All right, enjoy the rest of the week,
dude. Thank you.
This was a huge. I've been looking forward to it. When I saw that you were coming to town, seriously, I was really looking forward to this.
So. Oh, I'm excited. Thanks, dude.